Yep, looks good.
Welcome everybody to the November meeting of the koha-US acquisition SIG. I hope you all are having a great November. I wanted to just start out, usually we wait till the end for everybody's questions. I was thinking today we would start with people's questions and just see if anybody had anything that they wanted to ask or were curious about or have been upgraded to the newest release if you're a Bywater customer and had questions about what was going on with your new release. Okay. If not,
I had a question.
okay, super.
Thanks, Rhonda. So this is Christie. I'm from the Monterey Public Library. It's been a while since I've been with you guys, so it's a pleasure. I have had an issue, and some of you may already be aware of this. I've been working with Bywater, and I just want to ensure that none of you have found a workaround. And if so, if you have found one, that's great. I'd love to know it. So we started out outsourcing our cataloging and processing. And what's happening is when we receive, when I'm uploading the MARC records, the full MARC records, not the on order records, it's actually replacing our current cataloged items. So it's overlaying the bib record, and we don't want it to do that. So what I'm working out with the vendor said, oh, you should have an append rule, which I don't see one in Koha. And so what I'm choosing is it's just replacing it. I did try to do a new matching rule, which is to look at, I think it was a 952 field, but then I realized the new records didn't work. So I'm wondering if anyone found a new matching rule or if that's a problem that anyone has that they have a solution for.
Okay. Does anybody have an idea? I had some audio difficulties, so I got a little distracted in there, but I know, so basically your stuff is when, okay, you get the brief record from the vendor, and then when you get the full record, you want it to overlay the brief record, right?
The brief record only and not the full record. So I was trying to, in fact, I see Marcy's on the call. She was kind enough to have a long call with me on this. But yeah, so what I wanted to do is to look for on order records, and if it finds the on order records, to go ahead and overlay. But if it finds already a bib record, a full bib record, I want it to ignore that, if that makes sense. But yep. I want the item to still be added. So what I did is I found a new matching rule, but it didn't work because the only option in Koha to replace the item record was, it says replace item record only if matching bib is found. But I actually wanted to replace all of the item records regardless of whether the matching bib was found, if that makes sense. Because I want the barcode to come in, I want the RFID tag, I want all that information in on the item record, but it's not giving me that option. Up above, it gives me the option to, if matching bib is found, ignore or overlay, but I have to put replace usually. So I found a workaround with the matching rule, I guess, as far as the bib record goes. It says, oh, if you find a matching bib, it will find the ones that are already full or already ignored. But then where I get stuck is at the item level. It'll say replace only if matching bib is found, and that it's not working for my matching rule, if that makes sense. It's my matching rule is realizing that, oh, you have a full mark record here and an on order record here, and it's parsing them out. But then again, I want to replace all item records, and it only says if matching bib was found in Koha. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Yeah, I think, Rhonda, that's same thing happening with us also. I'm also working with Andrew, but it didn't work fully. I think the scenario that what she explained is the same thing, that similar like us, we do download on order record and then we send this on order record. It's kind of like just a fake, and then not like the full one. And then when we get full mark record and we upload it, but maybe some of the items is not new, maybe it is already, the bib record is already there, then we don't want to overlay the bib record with the new bib record. We like to overlay only the on order, like maybe 2 items out of, like, you know, what we have 7 items. But in our case, I did yesterday trying to figure that out. It's I just ignore that, and then I have to merge both biblio record, and I need to see which biblio record I'd like to keep it, you know, the good one or the bad one. It doesn't overlay. However, if you have new one, and if I choose replace it, then it works perfectly. Otherwise, I have to merge both 2 items every time. One is on order record, and the other one is with barcode and all those, like, you know, the full things. Yeah.
Hey, this is Marcy.
Yeah.
And at one solution that comes to me, and I thought there was a bug on this, or maybe a future development that they were trying to get support for, where you could, when you're importing records, you can select different rules for different bib records that are matched. Does that ring a bell with anyone? Because what it sounds like, in some cases, you want to overlay that brief on order record, but then in other cases you don't, because you have a full bib record that your consortium or your staff has already tweaked, but the vendor sends one big giant file.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you have separate accounts set up for duplicate orders and regular orders with your vendor, Koha doesn't allow you to handle those the items in the file differently, or the bib records in the file with different rules.
Yeah, that's what Marcy touched on with the different accounts for duplicates versus new items. That's the way we do it. If we know that we've already got a good bib record in our system for the item that we're ordering, you know, got damaged, we want additional copies, whatever. We have a dupes account set up with our vendor that, and when we order those, the items, we do it.
Hey, Barbara, Rhonda, you're cutting out.
Oh, all right. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to get rid of this. Okay, so what I was saying, I'll just repeat it in case you didn't catch it. What Marcy hinted at there or mentioned is that we have 2 accounts set up with our vendors, one for new items and one for duplicate items, so that at the time we order, we decide, you know, do we have a good bib record, you know, that we've tweaked and we've got it all set up for our system, and then, and we don't want to touch that. When we order the dupes, we do the matching rule so that it finds the existing item bibs in our system and just adds the item as an on order item at that point for those. And then we don't get the new bibs, which we have to pay for. We don't get those with the dupes. You know, we just don't get the mark records with those, as opposed to new ones, which we get, you know, we do you know, it does the matching on the existing bibs and doesn't find any matches. And so it creates the brief record. We put those in our system, and then when the new one comes in, we just overlay it. That I understand what you're trying to do, and okay. So were you able to hear what I just said or not?
Yes.
Okay. Is that helpful at all? I know it doesn't really solve the problem that you're, you know, at the time of receiving, it doesn't solve that problem.
Rhonda, I think that our team was explaining like that yesterday. Our cataloger was asking that, can we have that? So you actually open us to think about it. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like we are using Ingram at this moment. So as you said, that duplicate, like for example, whole ratio. So we order extra copies. In that case, do you get process account without bib, right?
Yep. Yes. Everything for our dupe accounts, everything is the same, except we don't get the bib record,
Okay.
which is good from our perspective, because I mean, they cost like 25 cents, but it's 25 cents we don't have to pay for. And then, yeah, so it's more of, yeah. Okay, Christie's putting a bug in there in the chat. So it's more of at time of order, we make the distinction between duplicates, you know, things that should be added to an existing bib record versus things that we want the brand new bib record in. How has
Oh, I'm sorry, Rhonda, I have a question about that. Do you then have to finish out the item record manually when the items arrive? Like, are there, because you're not getting the final mark record
right,
with the barcode?
right.
Okay.
Well, no, because I'd have to double check that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think they have the ability, don't hold me to this. I think Ingram has the ability to just send us. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I think, yeah, when they come in, we have a different workflow for dupes.
Yeah.
And when they, you know, they come in, that's one of the things that gets done is, you know, complete, you know, it's got, the item is there. They just need to scan in the barcode and
yeah,
that kind of thing.
The other thing you could consider, I don't know, we don't use Ingrams in Europe, but you could go back to the old workflow. And like Rhonda was saying, if you decide at the beginning, you know, you have to decide which are brand new biblios, you could go and acquire the biblio record at that stage, so that you know then that all of your items when they're coming in are going to match to good biblios. And then at least you've just got one workflow for receiving.
Mhm,
That might be worth considering. I don't know.
mhm.
So I'm confused, Daphne, at what you're proposing.
So when you go to order something, you first of all, you go and you search on your system and you see, oh yes, we already have a good biblio for this, so I'm just going to order some extra items. So at that stage, if you don't have a good biblio, can you go and acquire the good biblio before you order, so that when all your orders go out, you are saying we already have good biblios to receive these against? So you never have the short record on your system. Yeah, so in a little bit the way we used to do it long ago, when we were starting off, we catalogued the item first. So you go wherever you can acquire your good biblios and you download an empty biblio and then you place your order against that. So at least then you know when everything is coming in, you already have a good biblio. So you take the option that you're just going to match against your biblios and add in the items.
I see what you're saying, but that takes away, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to outsource all of our cataloging. So that would take actually cataloging work in the beginning, is what you're saying. You'd catalog it first, right?
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, by acquiring the record from somewhere else. Now, I don't know how as I say, we don't use Ingram, so I'm not sure what their service is.
Okay. Yeah, the interesting part is we just started with Brodart, which has been great, but they're very hesitant. I had a long informative talk with Marcy, who's on this call. I was asking about setting up a different account, which it sounds like Rhonda and Marcy do, a separate account for dupes that we're ordering. And they're hesitant to set me up, saying that, oh, well, there's a workaround. You could just append. And they're trying to give me all these ideas. And again, I've been working with Bywater, and they said, well, look, they think it's a bug, then it needs to be worked out. And they're holding off on setting up the separate account for me for dupes. And they're saying, no, you need to exhaust all of your options. So here I am on the call with all of you to try to figure out if maybe there is another option. So thank you all.
I think, Christine, I don't know whether it's going to help you or not, that we are trying to do that in future. We just started Brodart almost like last fiscal year, and then Ingram just last week. So we are pretty new in there. But our cataloger found that this is the issue happening because we have good mark record. And as you know, that is quite hard to match it up. So she suggested that, is there a way we can separate it, like which we have it? And she said, well, if we already know that, so when we receive it, we are going to we are not going to say replace mark order. We are just going to say add mark order. So she said, as long as we know that this item is not replacing, then we are not going to say replace this. We are just going to say add items. But I think what Rhonda said, if we don't get the mark record, that means we are saving 25 cents, which I'm not sure that I have to talk to them how we can, maybe there's another account set up. But if we don't want to set up the account, we have to just keep the list separately. Like, when you order EDI, you just have to separate that. Okay, we know that this order is coming only for the whole ratio, or this order is coming only for the dupe. Maybe that's one of the things we are trying to do. I don't know. We haven't done that though, Marcy. So Christine, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's an interesting puzzle. And so I didn't actually look at this bug. Allow option to choose which record match is applied during import. That sounds like that's right on topic for this. Yeah, it's bug 227. What is it? 785. And if this is interesting to you, be sure to comment on it and vote for it. Excuse me. Not this time. Do you think the Koha upgrade will help us? So are you still on 2005? Okay, so there weren't a lot of changes to acquisition. I mean, there's some, but not in the whole processing of how things are received and things like that. So yeah, I don't think this particular upgrade is going to help with that. I think those kinds of issues are still there. Okay, so does anyone else have a question? Has anyone discovered a really cool trick? Okay. Well, thank you, Christie, for asking your question, because I think more of us have wrestled with that same issue. So it'd be great, if we can figure out a generic process or something that works for a bunch of people for that too. And this bug looks interesting. So what
Rhonda, you've gotten a question in the chat.
Oh. Delete vendor. Yes, I think there is. Okay, so let me practice first. Oh, I wasn't in the right place. I'm just going to quick try. I better not do this on my system. Let me go to, I think if you go to here, I will pull this up and then we can look at it together. Staff client. Oops. Oh, I did. Okay. All right, so let me share my screen and we will, oh, I always forget to click the share button. Okay. All right, so can everyone see? Which screen do you see? I can't tell. Do you see the Koha homepage?
Yeah, we're seeing the Bywater.
Okay, super. Okay, super. All right. So. Here's this information. Go to edit vendor. Oh no.
You have a delete vendor there button, right, Rhonda?
Yeah, sorry about that. Delete vendor is right here. So we can delete the vendor there.
So I don't have that option on mine. I wonder if it's because my version of Koha is not the same.
Let me try something. Okay. All right. So see these have no pending baskets. The one that I picked had no pending basket. But if I pick one that has a pending basket like this one, then I don't have my delete vendor. So I'm guessing that you need to process all of the baskets and stop ordering from them before you can delete it.
Yeah, actually, I ended up picking a vendor that I haven't worked with before because I've been in acquisitions for 2 years and it still didn't have the delete option. So I'm wondering if it's my version of Koha, but someone else just said they didn't have that option either on the chat.
Okay.
We don't have that option either, and we're on 2105. But I'm not seeing it.
Okay. So do you think it's just if you never ordered from them? I wonder.
Rhonda, there is
You have
a,
permissions.
yeah, permissions is what I was gonna say. There is a manage vendors permission. I wonder if that's what lets you see that or not.
Okay, let's go. Oh, it permissions like in a login.
Yeah, in the patron, yeah.
Okay, so let's go to, oh, there it is. All right, so if we go over here to set permissions, so this has super librarian function. Is that what everybody has? Manage vendors is included in there. Okay. So I can put out, I'm getting an echo, just a question. Well, I suppose we could do it on Slack too, just a quick question of, is there a way to delete vendors that we've worked with in the past that we've sent orders to?
I finally found that option on a couple of my really old vendors that I think were imported into Koha at setup and that we've probably never really used.
Okay.
But I've got some other vendors that I don't think, I don't know if we've ever, done any orders with them or not. There's some that I would think would be the same as these others. So I'm not sure what the difference is yet, but I did finally find the option on a couple of them.
Okay, that's interesting. So maybe a better question is what are the conditions that need, that are necessary in order to delete a vendor?
Yeah, I see where you could delete a contact of my vendors or make a vendor inactive, but I don't see the option to delete in the screens that we're looking at, the vendor options.
Mm-hmm. So if you come in here, edit vendor, you can put this information. Yeah, there's the delete contact.
And then right there, you could see you could put vendor inactive, those radio buttons.
Oh, the radio.
And-
Okay. Yep. Vendor is inactive. So what does that do? Does it display on that? Well, let's try it.
It means you can't order from them.
Can't order from them. Okay.
Yeah, it will display unless you pick the option. There's an option when you display the vendors, it'll say show active vendors only. So you can choose which vendors you see.
Okay. Okay. So I'll make it back to active. Okay. Interesting.
I think it may keep even old vendor records for statistics on things, even if you haven't used them for quite a while. So it may be, if we could archive off very old orders, then you could delete the vendors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is a note in the template that says the delete button only appears in the template if basket count equals 0. So it could be that there's still baskets tied to some of those vendors, even if they're not in use, and that's why it's not showing the delete button.
Yep, that makes sense to me. Because they need, yeah. Basket. So basket equals 0 means you've never ordered from them, right? Because you could have a basket that's really old, but it would still be connected to that vendor. Interesting.
Well, that would make sense because you would have invoices and baskets, orders attached to a vendor.
Yeah.
And so if you deleted them, that would,
Mess up your records.
yeah.
Because I'm sure in the database, they just point to the vendor in the vendor field. And if you deleted that vendor, it would point nowhere at that point. Yeah, didn't mean to do that. But, okay. Yeah. Because I think, yeah, that's kind of the behavior that I'm seeing. So if you have one that you've got, we make it inactive and then go back here. I guess it just shows inactive here.
And then at the top, Rhonda, you should be able to, it says show active vendors only. Does it say that on yours?
Yes, I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
So all vendors show active vendors, toggles back and forth between that. And you can see the one vendor disappears there. So if you didn't want to deal with some really old ones, you could make them inactive and then just look at the active vendors. Not a perfect solution, but it's one way to do it. Does that help at all? Delete tab. I never order from them anyway to delete all inactive vendors. Yeah, I think we'd have to check with, Bywater if you're supported or whatever, and or another support vendor, or mess with it yourself. But I think you would lose some data if you actually deleted the vendor, and you can decide then if that's important or not. If they're that old, you maybe don't care who the vendor is anymore. Suppose you could always put the vendor write it in a non-public note, or that wouldn't really help you in acquisition, so that would only be in catalog. But okay. Again, a great question. So any more questions? Sorry. Okay. I've never used a ton of them and leave them as inactive. Okay. Okay. Hang on. I got to get my chat here. Oops. Found this in the manual. If a vendor has no basket attached to it. Okay, all right. All right. Hasina, you had a question?
Yes, I have another question regarding importing mark records. So Ingram, we have to use, for example, fiction collection code. We are using fiction, adult juvenile, but at our system, we are using only fiction instead of adult fiction, juvenile fiction. So I saw another webinar type of thing. We can use matching point 9468 in our system. I did that, but somehow it didn't work, like it didn't change. Like there is a if condition. If you do that, it will change it. So I'm just wondering, is anyone is using that? This is for Ingram vendor that we are doing.
So I'm not quite sure I understood the question. So in your funds, like this is the test system or whatever.
Not in the fund,
Okay.
in the items, like when we get the full mark record, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then you have,
Collection code is, we have to send them breakdown way, like for example, children juvenile, we have to say juvenile fiction. Whereas at our system, our collection code is only juvenile. So, or maybe only fiction. But when we send the EDI order to Ingram, we have to break down, for example, adult fiction, juvenile fiction, adult biography, juvenile biography. But in our system, we have only fiction or we have only biography. So is there a way, instead of doing every single item manually, collection code changing, is there a way, like, we can match it up that, okay, this field, I did change like 946.8 mark record. I did change as a, like, I did change, what does it call? Like match point, but somehow it didn't work when we import the mark record. So I was just wondering, is anyone is using that, or any idea or any suggestion?
okay.
So are you saying that your collection codes are general fiction category, or are they actually like juvenile fiction, adult fiction?
They are only juvenile, or they are only fiction. They are like fiction, biography, non-fiction, only this.
Okay.
But we are sending them as a juvenile fiction, juvenile biography. But where else, when we are getting the items, then we have to manually change every single titles that, okay, it's juvenile fiction, but it will be fiction instead of juvenile fiction, because they want us to send the fiction book as a categorized, like it is a adult fiction or it is a juvenile fiction.
So Ingram is asking you to do that?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
So
so I was thinking,
when you say send it, are you putting grids on them? Is that what you mean?
yes, yes.
Okay. So you're gridding it as, okay, so are you getting processing done based on that?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Spine level, we are getting processing based on that.
okay. Do you just have the one account then with Ingram?
We have process account, we have non-process account also, but we just started with the process account. So then we have to grid everything, the collection code based on their need, because based on that, what we are sending, they are giving us a spine level based on that.
Yeah. Okay.
What we did, I don't know if this helps you at all. We don't use collection codes in our library. So we were forced to kind of do another option. And I'm wondering if this is something that you could switch so that it works for you. So we use our shelving locations as the collection code with the vendor. And so I'm thinking that if do your collection codes, you're saying that they're just generic, but your shelving locations are probably more specific, is that right?
Yeah, so our shelving location is juvenile, adult, young adult. So, but our collection code is fiction, non-fiction, biography. Yeah.
So my suggestion would be
Mhm.
to possibly do what we're doing is using your shelving code or shelving area as your collection code when gridding with Ingram.
Mhm.
And then that way they'll be more specific for you for when they come in. They'll use your shelving location as your collection code. So they'll be specific, like juvenile fiction when they come in. That's what we're doing.
Oh, that's that. Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm happy to, if you wanted to set up a call or something, and I could show you how we're doing it. But that's how we figured it would work for us.
Yeah, because that's a good point, because we are also sending the shelving location. So we can, instead of changing that, we can just say, because that's like, shelving location is much easier than changing all the collection code every single title. Yeah, I think I'll be happy to see how you are doing in your system.
Okay.
All right. That's exciting. I'm so happy to see this, these connections made. That's what this is all about. Just what we do is we have two accounts, an adult account and a children's account. And that way Ingram could know which which process, if we just say fiction, then they're able to distinguish based on the account that it's on. That's maybe another option, but Christie's would be way simpler to set up with that, I think.
So do you guys have young adult also in Spanish? So how do you do that? So for example, Spanish has we have Spanish, then young adult. That's how they break down juvenile and adult for separate, and graphic novel. So that's how they break down everything in a separate way.
Correct. Yeah, we have all that.
Okay. Kristen, do you mind sharing like your email, or maybe in this email one you can also email me, or I can shoot you an email.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Anybody else have a question? We've got 15 minutes left here. I said we were going to talk about receiving items, but people's current questions are way more important than anything I randomly pick.
I have a question on taxes.
Okay.
Again, this is all new to us, this outsourcing. So our replacement price and our actual cost used to be the same. That's how we had it in the library set up. We weren't accounting for our catalogers' time and everything. So if we bought the book for $10, that's the actual cost. The replacement cost was $10. So now what we're finding is we're adding the C&P into the replacement cost. But what's happening is the invoices aren't matching up when they're coming in, because Koha is it looks like Koha is automatically charging the tax on the replacement cost as opposed to the actual cost. Does anyone have any ideas, or are they having any issues or suggestions?
Yeah, we don't pay any tax, so that's an area that I'm completely ignorant of, is how taxing works in Koha.
That's what I'm finding, Rhonda, is a lot of libraries are not paying the tax, but we are. So
Yeah,
I was hoping that someone maybe on the call that does pay tax. But
yeah. Is there anybody here that does pay tax on your items? Doesn't seem so. You know, there's a few other people from Texas here too that wouldn't have to pay tax. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I did have one question myself. I was curious if anyone has used this orders by fund thing. We've got lots of book. This is in the, oh, okay, that we have no data. I played around with this for a little while. Okay, no data on there, on my system. And I expected that, you know, orders by fund would show you everything that had been ordered for a particular fund. And then there's a total at the bottom. And then I was, oops, do that all the time. I was expecting that the total on this screen for ordered and spent would total the same thing that the orders by fund showed, and they don't match. Does anybody else know anything about orders by fund?
so what I've found, Rhonda, is there are some reports that I've used in the past, you know, that are canned reports, so to speak, in Koha, and some of the sequels, some of the identifiers in the sequel are no longer valid. And
Okay.
I'm not well trained in that. But I know that I use our tech guy sometimes and he'd say, oh, this isn't a valid identifier anymore. You have to go somewhere else and replace it. So I don't know if this is one of those reports that, you know, was already put in via SQL and something is not working in it anymore.
Okay, that's an idea.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's been frustrating for me because I used to have these great reports and all of a sudden they're not working and I haven't had the time to go back into the SQL language and say, okay, what can I replace this with? Because this isn't a good identifier anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've made a few changes to the structure of the database behind Koha. And yeah, that will happen. They've changed a couple database table names, I guess is a better word. And things
But I would think, Rhonda, if it's offered there as a standard report, you should put in a bug because they should fix it. You know, it's different if it's one of your own local reports, but you can't see what's behind that. So
right.
You can't fix it.
Yeah, so there's no, you know, edit button or whatever up here.
But some of the reports I think are added by members. So I don't know how well monitored they are. You know, like as far as putting in a bug.
Yeah, most of them are, but this particular report is new to, I don't know which new release it is, but now it comes standard, you know, kind of like the holds ratio report, the holds to pull report. Some of those, they come standard on this, on the acquisitions screen. There we go. Yeah, it's right here on the acquisition screen. As you know, here's the hold ratio report, which is standard. And if you go in there, you can't edit that report at all. And this one is the same, like Daphne said. It's a standard report that should be working properly. So I'd be curious to see what other people, what I found so far is that the orders by fund, let's see, is a lower number than the homepage, or it's the other way around. I stared at this all morning and I'm so confused right now. So yeah, I just was curious if anybody else had sort of explored the orders by fund link that's now part of acquisitions.
Rhonda?
Yeah.
I don't really use that orders by fund that often, but I just checked some and it appears to be working for me, at least the total is a combination of what's on order and what has been spent. And if I add those two together, that's the amount I'm getting when I look at a particular fund in that orders by fund report.
Okay, and that's what I would have expected to happen. I wonder why mine isn't.
Mine isn't either, Rhonda. I just checked mine. Mine's off by like, I don't know, $150.
Yeah, that's about what mine's off too. Yeah.
And I can look at it more if I figure something out. I can email you, but
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to look at it more this afternoon too, just because I'm really curious. I'd feel more confident if I had one number for the budget purposes. Okay. And Jennifer did put a comment in the chat about the processing fee and things like that. We don't adjust the replacement costs. It shows as the same amount. We attach a flat $10 processing fee through the item types administration. Okay. The fee is applied only when the item is marked lost. Don't know if that helps. Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Okay. Maybe we can delve more into receiving next month. Next month is December. And our next meeting would be our next meeting is supposed to be the 21st of December. I'm guessing that's probably not a great time for people. A couple days before Christmas, I'm imagining people will be vacationing. So my thought was we just meet again in January. And if you have any questions or need anything, to talk to anybody, feel free to contact anybody on here. And we can set up a Zoom, if you want, we can set up a Zoom session with a couple of people, to address any problems. I know there's probably some libraries that their fiscal year will end at the end of December. I don't know how many are on the call, but if you have any questions related to that or anything. But does that sound okay with everybody that we just wait till January, because it is the week of Christmas for our next meeting? Okay.
Rhonda,
Yeah.
I just thought I'd let you know I found a fund that doesn't equal on my system. There's a difference of 53 cents. So, the ones I checked earlier were right, but this one is off.
Okay. All right. Some investigation needs to be done. All right. I'm gonna look into it, and was it Christie said hers didn't match either, so see if we can figure out where the problem is. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, Jason, if you can take us the December meeting off of the calendar. He's got a coffee cup there. I guess he's away. So. All right. Then I'm going to stop sharing.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm glad, I hope everybody has a great holiday season, and we'll see you in 2022, if not before then, at the general meeting for koha-US. We get to elect officers, and yeah, it will be, hope you all have a good holiday. So we'll talk to you soon.